I want to start off with a reading of one of the blogs on the WickedEverythingSports.com blog. This one about the Bengals tagging Tee Higgins again, which I find very lame. So, the Cincinnati Bengals are in win now mode, with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase locked up for the long term with hefty contracts. They are once again in a precarious position with their other young star, Tee Higgins. Higgins will be headed into his sixth season with the Bengals in 2025 and has compiled a stat line of 330 receptions, 4,595 yards, and 34 touchdowns during that period as a second option to Jamar Chase. As Higgins was a second round pick, his initial contract was only 4 seasons, covering 2020 to 2023, with no fifth year option. So, in 2024, the Bengals decided to franchise tag their young star for $20.6 million. He would only appear in 12 games, posting a stat line of 73 receptions, 911 yards, and 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns were a career high. Still, it was clear that Higgins wanted a long-term contract. Quarterback Joe Burrow used his appearances during Super Bowl week to reiterate that he would like to keep the team together for 2025, telling Maurice Jones-Drew on NFL Network's Super Bowl Live, quote, "We're confident that we're going to be able to do what it takes. We all want to stay together, so we want to make it work," close quote. The team made their first move to try to make it work by tagging Higgins again, though he didn't seem enthusiastic when he announced it on X, saying only tag with a period. The period punctuating the single word seems to speak to his displeasure. Similarly, Jamar Chase tagged Higgins on Instagram in a story of a picture with Joe Burrow with a furrowed brow and a gif of a man saying, "What?" again, seemingly indicating that the second consecutive year of a franchise tag wasn't what the trio were hoping for. The latest on the tagging is that the team will attempt to reach a long-term deal with Higgins. The tag is only in place to make those conversations exclusive. Had he been allowed to test free agency, it's likely that a team like, say, the Patriots, who have a lot of money to spend, would have offered him more than the Bengals could afford. Though this does bring up the conversation about fairness of tagging a player in consecutive years. Well, the NFL does try to make it so that the player is taken care of financially, with the second tag being 120% of the value of the first. In this case, Higgins will make $26.2 million. Should he suffer a serious injury, he will be out of luck next offseason. For this reason, players like Le'Veon Bell have missed entire seasons in order to force an organization's hand to up the guaranteed money. We can argue about if Bell was right in sitting out, if he would have made more money had he played, but the fact is he turned down $14.5 million and eventually got $35 million guaranteed from the New York Jets. Had he played and been significantly injured, he would have perhaps only made that initial $14.5 million. So we'll have to wait and see if Higgins signs his franchise tag or tries to force the organization to pay him what he's earned. As frustrating as it would be as a Bengals fan, should Higgins play hardball, it seems he has the support of his teammates in Chase and Burrow, which should serve to help him at the negotiation table. Personally, I think a player should be allowed. I think a player should not be allowed to be tagged in consecutive years due to the brutality inherent to the sport. But I'm just a blogger, or I guess in this instance, a YouTuber. So, what are your thoughts on the franchise tag and Tee Higgins situation? So, yeah, that was mostly just to voice my thoughts. I don't know if displeasure is the right word, but I do believe that not allowing a player to leave for one season with a franchise tag, that makes sense. Whether you want to try to get a longer contract in that season, that's of course up to the discretion of a team, or if you just want to hang, hang him up, keep his cleats, his jersey in the locker room for that one season, that's, up to the team. But I think it starts getting tricky when players have like very little bargaining power in this instance, and really the only thing they can do to leverage the situation to their benefit at all is sit out. And then that gets fans very upset, and that kind of gives the power back to the NFL owners. And obviously, they're all millionaires, and the owners are billionaires. So I get why it's like, well, I would play for that $26 million. Sure, but I do think it's like self-defeating to potentially call out a fellow, worker in the hierarchy of bosses being the owners and workers being the players, and say that just because this worker is making a lot, that they shouldn't perhaps earn what they're due. So that's where I fall on it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think it's like, oh, well, they make so much money, who cares? But, you know, I don't agree with that, obviously, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments.